Good morning. This is Jared Gray with my co-host Jordan Rains and the Dynasty Chef Steve with ExpandTheBoxScore.com, doing our end of the season rookie review. I know this is something that I'm excited about. I've been trying to get you know, I've been kind of really into this since long before the season. Everybody knows that as much as I like college football. So I know Steve's a big college football fan, and
Hmm.
Jordan is getting on the train, ladies and gentlemen. So
Yeah, a week
uh,
from this exact moment, I will be in my car driving on I-55 South to the Mobile. So I'm on my way to the Senior Bowl to
Yep.
see what's up with these college kids these days. Maybe
I am so jealous that I cannot
Same.
go. I've
Won't
got
be
them
won't be
issue.
driving quite yet, but it'll be a little bit later. I got quite a drive myself.
yep.
Almost 14 hours for me.
Woo! I got 8-hour drives. Damn, you'll be you'll be longer than me, but we'll get
Yeah,
there,
Steve
and
has
it'll
Hmm.
it'll be worth it, I'm sure.
Oh man, it's gonna. I'm looking forward to quite an experience that first day because I got
Yeah,
to go to
you
work
are.
half a day. I got to go to work half a day, and then I'm gonna go and drive after that 14 hours, and then get almost basically get into everything.
Damn, crazy.
Yep, it's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I don't give a crap. I don't care how tired I am.
Nice.
we are doing an impromptu live show on YouTube here, so I'm sure we're going to get some pop-ins. Like my man Russ just popped in and said, "Hey, so guys, we're happy to give you guys as much content as possible. Again, today will be our rookie show. Uh, do we got a lot of guys to cover? We're going to pop in and out. Obviously, uh, I would say
Yeah.
linebackers are going to be key to happiness here, but there's some big surprises for me this year. I'm sure for you guys.
Hmm.
Uh, I guess we'll hit right to it. Um, a guy that I had my top two originally, my top 25 was Devin Bush, and he finished number one in total tackles.
Yeah, for rookies, number one in total tackles. He came out the gates swinging. I mean, he had a couple of some of his very best games were those first 3 or 4 games. He was causing turnovers. He's getting high tackle numbers. He's playing 100% snaps. It felt like. So yeah, I mean, he lit the world on fire for sure. There, he slowed down towards the end, but last year it was him and Devin White, and he was the second one picked, but he finishes first this season as far as production. um,
I mean,
I
let's
don't
not give him Devin White any hate here. Only really played 12 games. He went
true,
out in the
yeah,
very first, like I think the first series of the second game. So then he played 13
Hmm.
games, but he really only played 12.
yeah, he
And
got hurt.
Devin White was right with him.
Yeah, but
I mean, Devin
Dynasty.
White came on with a scare at the end. So
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
they almost had like an inverse kind of season where Bush was hot at the beginning, slowed down, and then as he slowed down, White got hot towards the end. They both
Passing the
finished,
flame.
yeah, passing the torch off to each other.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, they both had great seasons though. Overall, I was very lucky to have Devin Bush on one of my dynasty teams.
Yeah, me
Um,
too.
he helped me get to the playoffs. Those early numbers definitely helped push me to where I needed to be late in the season. So I do appreciate
it's
him a
going to be
lot.
interesting drafting, full on redraft for me next year in my dynasty league, just to see how I decide to go with the sophomores and
Hmm.
3 year, third year guys, some
Seen some of
rookies
your
obviously that I'm
seen some
looking
of your
at.
tweets out there.
But just like
Hmm.
Turk number two on our list, Cole Holcomb. That'd be one of the biggest surprises of the year. 105 tackles, three forced fumbles. He didn't have the year that Devin Bush did just because Devin Bush had six pass defenders, two interceptions, one forced fumbles, four fumble recoveries, and a touchdown. So Cole Holcomb reminds me a lot of Blake Martinez, where he's a big tackle, or Matt Milano, where he's real big in tackles. We'll get one big player here or two there a year, but really big on just tackles. I mean, if he didn't have that one game where uh, players just whiffed right on by Cole Holcomb, he probably would have had 125 tackles. this season, but he had 1 or 2 games where they just played against him.
Yeah,
So,
he was definitely a
It was
surprise.
a big
He was a high tackle producer, and you kind of knew that somebody was going to find their way onto the field there because the linebackers were just kind of falling apart there. Wasn't it Reuben Foster? He got traded there from San Francisco, and that was the early offseason last year. He tore his ACL or MCL. I don't really recall. Then they got rid of somebody. I forget who that was. I mean, it was just the
Mason
linebackers.
Foster.
Mason Foster, who had like over 100 tackles last year.
Uh-huh.
So somebody had to fill that spot, and there was Sean Dion Hamilton was a guy that a lot of people talked about, but it ended up that Cole Holcomb ended up the guy you wanted there. As a cheap rookie option, you probably picked him up off waivers. He's a guy that, I'm definitely looking at in Dynasty as a cheap acquisition. Somebody I can plug and play maybe late next season as a linebacker 2 or 3.
Yeah, I bet they're happy he filled the role too.
Yeah, but since they have the whole coaching staff change and everything, who knows what's actually going to shake out there. But good season for him overall. I wasn't really on him. I know Jared was at least aware of his presence coming into the season.
Well, I'll tell you what.
But 105 tackles, that's nothing to shake a stick at. So
that Skins defense is looking a lot better than that offense is.
Yeah, I don't know. Gary Terry's breathed a little life into some people out there. Cole Holcomb, he ended up finishing not too bad. An IDP 123. He ended up with 207 points. That's not terrible. It's just a little bit behind.
200 points out of the rookie.
That's just a little bit behind. It's only 20, 30 points behind Deion Jones. So I know you paid up for him.
Well,
people definitely paid up for Deion Jones, which
hopefully Ron Rivera can take some of the dysfunction out of the Skins there. And
I'll tell you a player that really made a big move after Quan Alexander got hurt was Dre Greenlaw. The biggest question is, where does he end up being in this lineup with Quan being back?
Honestly,
I think that'll give you a really good look over the next game, right? Last game and this next game. How much will Dre Greenlaw get playing time with Fred Warner, who's obviously not coming off the field, Quan Alexander coming back? How much does Dre Greenlaw play? Because Dre Greenlaw still had 90-something tackles. I think he had 92 tackles. I'll look real quick. But 92 toe tackles, 3 pass defended, 1 interception. That 1 interception was 47 yards. So kid's got talent. He tackles well. He showed up really big after Quan got hurt.
Yeah.
But what happens is the biggest question for me with him.
Honestly, in my opinion, I don't think Quan is going to be there next year. I know they have they have something with Greenlaw. He showed that with that stop he had against the Seahawks a couple of weeks ago. And even Quan's been back the past 2 weeks, but he got 0 points this last week or 2 weeks ago in playoff challenge leagues. He's not playing a lot of snaps. I know he's coming off the injury, so you got to, account for that.
Well, this was his first week playing, right?
He was off. I think. You're right. You're right. He was back in practice last week. I think he ended up with a 0 this week. About 90% sure he didn't have any stats. He played about 25% of snaps this week. But Greenlaw's still out there, doing work. Again, he and Warner have shown that they're very capable players in big games. Nothing against Quan Alexander, but I don't necessarily think that they need Quan Alexander. I think they went out and got him, kind of like they went out and got D Ford because they were just shoring things.
But they paid him.
Well, yeah, they know they did pay him, but I think that's going to end up going down as a mistake, kind of like they paid Jerick McKinnon, and that was a mistake.
That was a horrible move.
They paid D Ford, and he's been part of their least productive.
But D Ford had a really good playoff game.
Did, but so did a lot of other guys on that team. Buckner did, Bosa did, Armstead did. He's just one of many. He's the most expensive one of many, and he's playing the least amount of snaps of many. So I don't think that I think that they've
expendable of many.
Exactly. I think the
That's
guy's
another question that
expendable.
when it comes to, we were talking about this the other day. When it comes to the end of the season awards, right? Who's the rookie of the year? Who's, defensive rookie of the year? All that stuff. You don't want to say that playoffs count, and you hope they don't, because Max Crosby is going to be in the conversation. But now with playoffs, Nick Bosa had 2 sacks Sunday. So
About effing time. That's all I gotta say. You know who else decided to show up yesterday was Frank Clark.
Yeah, but he needed extra games to get there.
Frank
True.
Clark.
Yeah, literally out of nowhere, Frank Clark just decides, "Hey, I'm gonna be really good at football today." Which I mean, as a Chiefs fan, I was very, very happy that he did.
Well, if that's how he's gonna be, you can't rely on him
Well, I mean, in the playoffs,
in the
I'm
playoffs.
win the Super Bowl.
Here's the crazy
Talk
thing:
about
he's
it.
the highest paid player on the team. So
That won't be for long.
No, well,
dude,
no,
definitely not. We were just talking about Patrick. Me and my buddy were talking about Patrick Mahomes is going to break 200 million. His contract will be over 200 million. I think it'll be 250.
You think so?
Did you
Oh,
see
yeah.
what he did
Well,
yesterday?
if you really want to talk about Russell Wilson has the biggest contract, right? Because he had
A lot of other people you can't pay.
140 million plus a $56 million contract
Mm-hmm.
or a signing bonus to make it basically 200 million. So he gets 35 million a year plus a $56 million signing bonus. So he basically has 200 million. I'm sorry. And here's the real big deal, because I really think Kansas City has a good chance to make a big move for the Super Bowl. I think they can beat the Titans. I understand they lost the Titans and they lost to the Packers. Okay. And I'm pretty sure did they play San Francisco?
I don't think they played San Francisco.
I know they lost the Packers and the Titans earlier in the season, right? But both were within the touchdown.
Mhm.
Mahomes didn't have a great game against. Well, you say he didn't have a great game against the Titans. He threw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, he still did pretty
The
decent.
running back only had 77 yards rushing in Damian Williams. But it was a 7-point game. It's hard to beat a team twice. We all know that. Ask the Browns. They beat Baltimore one game. They didn't beat in the second game. But I'm telling you, 250 million. Just mark it down.
Yeah, and he
Right.
deserves it. I mean, you saw what he did yesterday. You want to talk about a
If he
Michael
wins the
Jordan
Super Bowl-
moment? Move over
If he
to
wins the
Sean.
Super Bowl, I promise you have the biggest contract in NFL history.
Yeah.
All right. Back to the players.
Yeah, Dre Greenlaw, though, he was another surprise, another high tackle number guy. And honestly, I think that he'll be with San Francisco next year. And I think that he's going to keep seeing his play time stay around where it's at, honestly. I mean, he's earned that, in my opinion. He's got really good grades, too, if you're on PFF. Take that as a grain of salt. But, I mean, he looks good on paper. He looks good on film. And he's a lot cheaper than Quan Alexander. So
He's a lot cheaper than Quan Alexander.
he also played 16 games this season, something Quan Alexander hasn't done in a while.
And that's what we're talking about. He played 16 games. I get that he didn't play a whole lot in the beginning, but because Quan was playing. But sorry.
Bless you.
Yep, thanks. Appreciate it. I'm with you on Dre Greenlaw. I'm 100% like him, but I think they're going to see what they have with Quan over the next game or two, because I think that very easily they could, go to the Super Bowl. They could also lose to the Packers. So
It happened.
you never count Aaron Rodgers out. It's just the facts. I mean,
Yeah.
He's just too good. I hope, just because I like Dre Greenlaw so much, and I get Quan Alexander's been a good overall veteran, but bang for your buck, I'm getting the same athletic ability. I'm getting the same amount of tackle numbers.
Yep.
There's
All
not
you're
a lot
getting rid of is NFL experience at this point. I mean, and there's a team out there. There are teams out there. You know who needs a Quan Alexander is the Ravens. That's who needs a Quan Alexander.
Yeah, but like I said, that rookie linebacker class is pretty solid too. So they're going to draft a linebacker. But I'm with you. I could totally see them go after Quan Alexander. That would be a good move for them.
Yep.
Really good move for them. Let's go to our next one. Who I have two more guys that, or really three more guys that I talked about in my top 25 originally. Devin White, who we kind of already hit on, 91 total tackles, 4 pass defended, 1 interception, 3 forced fumbles, 4 fumble recoveries, and 2 touchdowns. So you talk about coming on strong at the end, who a lot of people think, and I compare him to my favorite player of all time. And my favorite player of all time is Derek Brooks from Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
I think they're very similar. I think athletic ability very similar. The one thing about that's, will never happen with Devin White that's already happened because he didn't play a full season. Let's talk about Derek Brooks played 16 seasons without missing a game.
That's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, as a linebacker, that's
Yeah.
crazy to me, right? There's a reason. I mean, he's a stud, right? He's just a stud.
Mhm.
So huge fan of him. Always have been. I really like Devin White. I think if he can stay healthy, he's the guy I'm really, really going to look at next year. Okay. He's the guy that I think that is going to make a big move. Somebody else that made a big move this year, and he's right there with us. Finished number 8 total in tackles, with number 5 or so, and as a linebacker, Jermaine Pratt. And I think he made a real big move after they got rid of the other linebacker.
Preston Brown, was that who it was?
Yep.
Smith, Preston Brown.
So
Yeah.
once Preston Brown was gone, which was kind of interesting, you just release a player mid-season like that. But Jermaine Pratt came on strong, 76 total tackles. He didn't have anything else besides that. But it was a late in the season. Let's let him get on it. But to finish, top 8 total and top 5 linebacker, I'll take 76 tackles out of a rookie, 50 solos. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who really didn't play a whole lot in the beginning. So
Yeah. Pratt didn't even play 50%. He didn't
Pratt.
even play 50% of the team's snaps, and he still ended up with a very solid tackle numbers on the season for a rookie. He's a guy that I think you should be looking at to buy low on in Dynasty, especially if you had some of these older guys on your team like a Thomas Davis, or even some of these not so old but still getting there kind of guys like Luke Kuechly, Bobby Wagner. Like, you want to shore up your linebacking core with guys that are coming in that have proven, and of the guys we've mentioned, Cole Holcomb will probably be a cheaper asset than a Bush or a White. A Greenlaw is probably going to be cheaper than a Quan Alexander, a Jermaine Pratt. These are guys that you should be targeting and you could probably get as throw-ins in, some of your offensive trades, just if you're looking to build that away. But yeah, I'm with you. Pratt had a really good, a solid season for a guy that didn't play a ton. And that defense is only going to get better. So you have to think.
You got to look at it. If you got, 76 tackles on a guy who played 50% of snaps, what's he going to do 100%?
Exactly. And on a defense.
That's the way I look at it. So.
Yep. So he's low key had a good season. Definitely a guy worth keeping an eye on. What else we got for rookie linebackers? Anybody else we want to really hit on?
Yeah. Well, I had somebody asked me about.
There's a couple other guys that did.
Well, Bobby Okereke.
That's what I was going to say.
The kid out of Stanford who, got a lot of drama because of possible sexual harassment. Title IX investigation against him. Turned out to, they tried to bring it up basically, and I think it hurt his draft stock. But the problem is who he has to move in that aspect. Anthony Walker, who's played really, really well this year with Indianapolis. Obviously, you got Darius Leonard, who's a full-on stud. you got to worry about those two guys. So he's the third guy in the mix. But I mean, he had a good year. I mean, you just can't gripe about his numbers. He didn't play a whole lot. 65 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery. And he legit didn't play very much. So, and he still finished top 11 total. Drew Tranquil, 75 total tackles. He made a big move towards the end of the season. A lot of people were asking, should I play this guy? I know they asked us a lot. So Drew Tranquil's definitely there. Troy Reeder made a big move at the end, who definitely was not on my radar beginning of the season, being in LA. 58 total tackles, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery. So Troy Reeder's a guy that maybe you're looking at in the long run. Jaylani Tavai, who was in my top 25, finished 14 total, 58 total tackles, 2 forced fumbles. He made more of a move towards the end too, with some injuries and stuff like that. I really like him, long term. So those are my top 15, and linebackers. There's some guys that a little bit farther down the list who considered linebackers, but really not. Montez Sweat, who I feel like had a really good year, considering how much they moved around players at Washington. Montez Sweat had 50 total tackles, 7 sacks. I mean, take that all day. I'll go back through him real quick. And 2 forced fumbles.
Yeah, a guy that a lot of people were high on coming into the season that didn't have a spectacular season was Mac Wilson. I know he had a lot of love around the community, being Alabama middle linebacker. He was basically written in to be this great asset. What do you have?
Had a pretty good year, 82 total tackles.
Yeah, but I mean, for a guy that played almost 1,000 snaps, 82 tackles is not that great. We're talking about
he had like 2 or 3 interceptions in the preseason. So he had 1 interception in the season.
We're bringing up guys like Okrecki and Pratt, who played 45% of snaps, had more tackles than him. This guy was basically given the keys to the city. Didn't do anywhere near as much with it as the hype told me he would do. Again, referencing PFF. I mean,
he had more tackles than Okrecki and Pratt. Not much, but he had 82. Pratt had 76. Okrecki had 65. So I'm with you. But again, he had to. Jonathan Kursky had to get hurt, or Christian Kursky had to get hurt for him to play, because he wouldn't have played. And then you had All-Pro Joe and Joe Schobert, who had the year of his life. So
kind of overshadowed him there.
It's crazy how little money he's making this year too. He's gonna get. I don't think the Browns are gonna pick him up. One of the teams that needs a linebacker is gonna get him, and he's gonna get a boatload of cash.
I don't know how he doesn't get paid by the Browns.
I don't even think. I was looking at some cap stuff last night. I don't even think he hit $1 million this year. I'm not even playing.
So ridiculous.
It's insane. So
he's going to get paid by somebody, and if he doesn't get paid by them, Baltimore is ripping him up, bro.
Yeah, I was going to say Baltimore seems like they would. He would be perfect for them.
They do not want to keep him in the division if that happens. So you're either paying him,
or trade him,
or Baltimore's going to pay him, because Baltimore will take him right now.
Yep.
That's just something I look at.
And I mean,
guys that would take him right now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch what ends up happening with that scenario for sure. Should we move on to some of these defensive back guys? These rookie
safeties were, safeties and cornerbacks both real strong. Number one that I think that we're all kind of in love with, Taylor Rapp. I mean, the dude had 100 tackles. Especially when you're sitting next to John Johnson. That group right there is going to be tough, man. 10 pass defended, 2 interceptions, a touchdown. a fumble recovery, and 100 tackles. Bro, give me all of that.
Yeah, Rapp had a great season. Solid player. That defense was on the field a little bit more this year than it probably was last year. John Johnson going down helped him get on the field. And you kind of have to just assume that Eric Weddle is probably not going to stick around. It'll probably be Taylor and Johnson next season, which is a safety tandem that I can get behind.
Oh, for sure. We have all these safety tandems that we talk about. The Williams and Bates, who were both rookies last year, both of them are studs. You got Edmonds and your boy Minka over, who those guys were. They're both second-year guys, too, over at Pittsburgh.
Mhm.
John Johnson and Taylor Rapp, man. I mean, they're right in that conversation. I mean, they got to be.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I love Taylor Rapp. The kid he's savage. I'm going to tell you one guy that, without a doubt, was not on my radar because I just didn't know how much playing he would get is Carter Willis. I mean, bro, 71 tackles, from a team that's got a lot of high tackle guys, in Walker, Darius Leonard, Rocky Sin, who's also in that, group.
mm-hmm.
Rocky Sin had 62 total tackles as a rookie, 6 pass defended, an interception, and a fumble recovery, as a starting corner there.
Mhm.
Dude, you think about the Colts they've got so much talent that are young,
Yeah,
man. I mean,
they've
it's
been
just crazy.
they've been
You know,
stacking it up.
you got to be excited about that. I mean, think of just 2-year guys. You got Rocky Sin, Carr Willis are this year, right? Bobby Okereke is also a rookie. Then you got Darius Leonard from last year. You've got
Anthony Walker,
defensive
isn't he? He's only a second or third year player too, right?
Walker's only the second or third year guy.
They got Ben Bonnegue, who didn't really play much this year.
I mean, just think about Carr Willis, Bobby Okereke, Rocky Sin, all finished in the top 12 in rookie tackles this year. Actually 10, 11, 12 in safety, inside linebacker, and cornerback. And those are all rookies. You got them for 4 years, right?
Mhm.
Minimum. So you got to be excited about that as
Yeah.
a team.
Carter
I mean,
Willis is definitely a guy that is, he started taking playing time kind of early in the season from Clayton Gathers, who didn't really have a great season overall. And I could definitely see Carter Willis kind of stepping into a full-time role there, maybe as soon as next season. Yeah, he's definitely a guy you should be watching, keeping an eye out for, acquiring if you can. I agree with that 100%.
I like the kid. I think he's solid. Definitely a guy that I'm looking at. Again, Rocky Sin's right there too. Both on the same team, both young kids, both high tackle number guys, especially for a cornerback and safety. I know somebody that I'm really high on, and I think he's definitely grown on you, is Juan Thornhill.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously,
I wish he wouldn't have
He's
got hurt here towards the end of the year, but he's been playing very well, and he's got a good mentor in my dude, the Honey Badger, and they took him to play, and he played a lot of snaps. I mean, he played over 900 snaps this year, almost 1,000 as a rookie. And
he's got 8 pass defended, 3 interceptions.
Yeah, he
touchdown.
Didn't have a ridiculously high tackle number, but I mean, he's great. His coverage grades are good. He looks like he knows what he's doing out there. The coaches seem to trust him out the gate. So I think the
He's
upside,
a lot of snaps. So,
upside is definitely.
And I'll take 8 pass defended, 8 pass defenses, and 3 interceptions out of a rookie safety all day long.
Heard
You're
that.
not even thinking twice about it. So I really like the kid, and I think he's got a lot of room to grow. But he was also in my rookie top 25. I was excited about him. A guy that wasn't, or was definitely in my rookie top 25 when he played, he got a lot of love. He played really well, and then disappeared. And I know you guys know what I'm talking about. My guy in Seattle, um,
Marquise Blair.
Blair.
Mhm.
Dude, Marquise Blair was a stud when he was playing. He hit, 12 tackles in one game and then disappeared when Quandre Dix came in. They're like, bro, goes to the bench. All right. Well, I just didn't get it. He shut down Mark Andrews, who is easily the best, is going to be considered top 5 tight end in the league this year.
Oh yeah,
What,
definitely.
something like 10 touchdowns. So rough, bro. I mean, I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
So that was a big letdown because he had such a good start to the season for me.
Yep.
Let's go another guy that I really made some big moves towards the end of the year, Jalen Thompson. 57 total tackles, 4 pass defendeds, an interception, and a fumble recovery.
Yeah, he
Kind of
had
surprised me.
as long as Buddha's there, he's not probably going to be able to get his numbers run up too high. But yeah, he's a guy that is worth monitoring. I remember early last draft season, he was projected like early last draft season, like a day 1 safety, and he didn't end up getting taken till like what, day 3? I forget why
late.
it was.
And they end up, they've got the other kid there too.
I don't remember his name.
Well, I'm having a mental break. Byron Murphy.
Yeah. They took
78
him
total
out.
tackles, 11 pass defenders. We knew people were going to pick on him. 1 interception. So yeah, Byron Murphy had a pretty solid year. 78 total tackles, 66 solos. So, I mean, a lot of people really liked him. He's from Arizona. Went to school Washington. Good player. Well coached, and he's a coachable kid. So Byron Murphy was a big get for them overall. And then he got another kid, and you're going to see these tackles because Arizona's on the field a lot. We talked about guys like Jordan Hicks were in our talk for defensive player of the year for me. So where I just disappeared on what I was looking at. Jalen Thompson, again, pretty solid there. A guy who I definitely had in my top 25, who's been in and out with with injuries, is Darnell Savage. Love his name. I mean, I think 55 total tackles, 7 pass defenses, 2 interceptions, and then 2 forced fumbles. Pretty solid guy when you get rid of Clinton Dix, and then you bring him in.
Yeah,
it's a pretty good year as a rookie.
Definitely, and he should be. Those numbers should go up this next year too. So I like him a lot as well.
He's going to be high. I know a guy that made a lot of big moves, and we got a lot of questions about Nick Needham. 54 total tackles, 1 sack, 13 pass defended, 2 interceptions, and 1 forced fumble.
Not bad.
Yeah, I'd say pretty solid year out of him.
Yep.
I had some other guys.
Not quite the class that last year was, with Jesse Bates and Derwin James, kind of running those numbers up real high. But definitely
There's still some good players. DeAndre Baker had a pretty good year. 61 total tackles. He was more people really liked him. He was a big award winner at Georgia. But
Gardner
to come play at New York, I'd say he had a pretty good year. We were talking about Nick Needham. Travion Mullen from Oakland, he got some more playing time after some people got hurt. He ended up having 11 pass deflections, an interception. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson definitely came out of, didn't really come out of nowhere for me. I know we were talking about him, but when Vaughn got hurt, he definitely stepped in and played some pretty good ball. He jumped it from cornerback to safety here and there, 49 total tackles, 9 pass defended, 1 interception, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery.
Yeah.
So
Definitely was pretty
Chauncey
strong
Gardner
there.
Johnson is a guy that you should definitely, of kind of this last little group of guys we've mentioned, keep an eye on. I know Von Bell is going to be an unrestricted free agent this upcoming year, and Gardner Johnson, he showed
you would
himself.
think they're going to sign him, though.
You would, but I mean, this guy showed that he could do some work, and
They
he
let
did-
Kenny
he did-
Vaccaro go and what he did.
he did well filling in for Von Bell, and if you can get similar numbers out of a guy for a lot cheaper,
Exactly.
they got other guys on that team they got to start worrying about paying.
Mhm.
And I know Michael Thomas just took a lot of money. I mean, they got to worry about Alvin Kamara getting paid. They got some other defensive guys there going to get some money.
I mean, they might have some Drew Brees money coming up real.
Yeah, that's true. They might feel free to money to get rid of Brees. They're not going to get rid of him as long as he wants to play. They'll keep
Right. I mean,
away for him.
how much
But I
longer is he going to play?
Just wanted to highlight that I think Gardner Johnson's a guy who is going to the hype is going to grow this offseason around him. Right now, it's just he's just whatever. But the Von Bell maybe not getting re-signed, and then people saying we like what we have with him. He's going to probably increase as the offseason goes off as we dive into his numbers a little bit more. So maybe get ahead of the curve, and you can draft him in some of your startups in the next month or two as a very late, probably one of your last guys taken. I think he's going to return solid value at least for the next year or two, and maybe beyond if he ends up actually being, kind of what we've seen flashes of. I mean, like you said, Jared, that first game that Von sat out, he had a great game. A couple of tackle for losses. He had, I think that might have been where he had the forced fumble or the interception. I mean, he put the league on notice as soon as he could, or at least us. So,
yep,
he's been in the back of my mind since then, and I've kind of been watching him play. And then this whole Von Bell thing coming up, it seems like a perfect storm for a guy that right now.
Every time the Saints are playing, I see his.
One player that got hurt earlier in the season, people were really high on, and I'm still very high on Jonathan Abram.
Yeah,
from Oakland.
Yeah, don't forget him.
So he's a player that you got to look. He was having a great year before he got hurt. So he was playing. I mean, he was all over the field, but he's that player that he gives so much that you're worried about injuries. I mean, he's always going 80 miles an hour. So
he could be a difference maker at safety. And Jamal Adams, we were in our little group message last night. Steve said something, but he tweeted something out, and he said, people don't value what a difference making safety can do for your team. He's like,
he keeps putting out all these tweets, and
he's right.
There's something.
I mean, look at these teams that lost this weekend. One of the big things with Baltimore is they don't have a difference-making safety. And no shade on Earl Thomas, but I mean, he's a cute little coverage safety, whatever. That's great. He's not a thumper, and that's what they needed on Saturday. They needed a guy that's coming downhill and just slamming into Derrick Henry. He wasn't that guy. Look at last night's game. It's kind of the Aaron Jones. I mean, they don't have a real hard hitting safety right now in Seattle. Diggs did have a nice stop at the goal line on somebody I remember last night, but they don't have that Cam Chancellor anymore. They don't have a Jamal Adams. And
that's where I feel like Juan Thornhill can really step up. And I mean,
Thornhill and Blair.
Look at his college tape
when they hit the field. Same thing with that other guy that didn't play hard this year, Adderley. I think if these guys, they can be that if they really put their minds to it and had the opportunity. We just got to see it. But
here's their opportunity.
Yeah, they don't have that Jordan Phillips dude or Adrian Phillips.
Yeah. Phillips is a free agent. He should be out of there. So Adderley should have a pretty clear path to seeing the field next season. Although it looked like he had a clear path.
We said that once we saw some injuries happen, we thought Adderley was going to hop in.
Yeah, and they kept playing these other guys, Cedric Teamer, and they played another guy for a little bit. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. It'll be interesting to see how it shakes out.
Okay, let's get to our last group, defensive tackle. We'll just get through some last guys. Christian Wilkins finished number 1 in defensive tackle, 56 total tackles, 2 sacks. Just total tackles.
Yeah, we're just going
Yeah,
down
that's-
just for reference. We're kind of ranking these guys on total tackles, not like on fantasy points. So
I'm not
anybody
even ranking them. I'm just giving just total tackles here because we know where I'm standing at in my full on rankings. I've already said who my guy is,
Mhm.
and we'll get right to him pretty fast here. And you got defensive ends is going to come on straight here in a second, but it's cool to see 56 tackles out of a defensive tackle.
Yeah, out of a
I mean-
rookie too. I mean,
that's
That's good.
getting it. Christian Wilkins, really great game. Great year out of Miami. He definitely played better than Cleveland Farrell. So
oh yeah, he was a top.
there's that.
Wilkins was a top 15 pick for sure. Was how he was a top, maybe even higher than that. Where was he taken? I don't know. I can't find it right now. I'll have to look a little
He
deeper.
went to Clemson too. That's why I brought up Cleveland Farrell because they both went to Clemson, and Christian Wilkins has been a solid dude in the middle all year long. Defensive end, we're going to get right to the two guys, Nick Bosa, Max Crosby, 47 tackles, 9 sacks, 10 sacks. Here's where Bosa gets him a little bit. 3 pass defended and an interception. He only had 1 forced fumble. He had 2 fumble recoveries. To where Max had 10 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. Right?
Mhm.
Very close. You're going to see a lot of talk on who is better, but we're talking about a guy who played every game, was the number 2 pick in the draft, to where another guy was drafted in the 4th round, had more sacks, more fumble recoveries, same amount of tackles.
More
Right.
forced fumbles too. I mean, Crosby
More
forced
fumbles.
4 fumbles to Nick Bosa's 1. Nick Bosa did have 25 quarterback hits to Crosby's 15, but I mean, still like
But
Crosby.
let's talk about playing time.
Well, they both played over 70% of snaps. I was looking at that the other day. They were both pretty much workhorses for their teams.
But another thing, didn't Crosby have hand surgery in the preseason?
I don't
He's the
recall
guy
that.
that got hurt during the preseason, right?
I don't remember that. I didn't watch what is that show they do in the preseason?
Hard Knocks.
Yeah, I didn't watch Hard Knocks this year because I didn't want to look at Gruden
I'm
screaming at
almost
people.
positive he's the guy because he was having a good, showing and then hurt his
Sure.
hand, and then here he comes late in the season and really started to play a whole lot. He's definitely got. I mean, everybody knows. I've made no bones about it. I'm definitely looking at Max Crosby, drafting next year for sure.
So there's definitely another
Let's
name that was in the
keep a
running
little
with those
bit.
guys, though.
Say what?
There's definitely another name up there that was in the running with those two, though.
Josh Allen.
Oh yeah.
Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah, 44 tackles. I literally was just going to
Led
10 and a half
rookies.
sacks.
Led the rookies in sacks, 10.5, and he
Mhm.
played the least amount of snaps of the big three right there, who finished with a lot of
That's the thing
production.
is where I didn't get that. We talked about it, Josh Allen, when he played, bald. So why didn't he play more?
Young.
Because you got 2 all-pro guys, basically. I mean, I don't know if Yannick's officially an all-pro, but he should be. You got 2 all-pro defensive ends there. I mean, and a future all-pro defensive end. I mean, it's tough figuring out who to play when you got, a wealth of riches on that line. I mean, are you going to sit Yannick? I mean, are you going to sit Campbell? And, are you going to
Yeah,
sit
no,
Josh Allen?
yeah, I get it.
That's a coaching decision I don't want any part of because I don't think there's a
Well-
wrong answer. I don't think there's a right answer. You know what I mean? It's just like
Here's where I would have changed.
you got
As
studs.
soon as I don't have any production out of my linebackers, I'm moving him to linebacker
Yep.
because he played linebacker in college.
True.
And I'm not if I can keep him on the field, I'm going to keep him on the field. That's the way I look at it. But I'm just going to rush the shit out of him.
Yeah.
That's
That would have
the way I
been
look at
smart.
it.
That would have been a little more adaptive than what they did, which was, taking all their 3rd and 4th and 5th string linebackers and saying, "You're going to start today." You're right.
Or you
they
tried
probably-
today.
Probably. But he had a great
Um,
season. He's a guy that I wish I had more of. Josh Allen. I think the ceiling's sky high for all 3 of these guys. I mean, Bosa, Crosby, and Allen sky high ceilings. You know, I'm not saying this is their floor. They might have seasons worse than this, but to all of them hit 9 sacks or more, all of them played a lot of time, and they're all very young. These are all dynasty assets. I want Nick Bosa. You're not going to get Nick Bosa off anybody. They're gonna, they're gonna have to pay an arm, a leg, and naming rights to your 3 next kids to get him. But a Max Crosby, somebody trying to be slick, who picked him up off waivers or very late in the draft, and they're trying to flip that into a second so they can tweet how they just got a free second-round pick. That's your target right there. Go find that guy in your league who has Max Crosby on his bench because he has J.J. Watt and Cameron Jordan and somebody else, and I'll be swooping in on that Max Crosby love fast because one more season like this.
So what about Ed
cheap
Oliver?
Anymore?
Ed Oliver, he kind of got screwed because Jordan Phillips decided to show up and play really well this season. I think Ed Oliver, he's another guy you can swoop in and probably. But the problem with Ed Oliver, though, is he had so much hype last season and the year before, and even though he didn't perform, you're not going to get Ed Oliver really cheap.
He had 43 tackles and 5 sacks.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we still had a good season. Not great, but good. And I don't think you're going to be able to pry him off the owners because, again, like Nick Bosa, they paid up for Ed Oliver. I would pivot off of him if I could to somebody else. I mean, fuck Jordan Phillips. I mean, I think he's a free agent. He might end up somewhere else, and he had a good season.
But if he does, then Ed Oliver becomes hot commodity.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to pay up for Ed Oliver, I encourage it, but I'm not paying up for Ed Oliver personally.
I'm not going to pay up for him because a lot of, and that's the great thing about football is there's a new name, right? So there'll be a hot name for somebody, out of this rookie class, that I'm going to give you and that we're going to give you as a group. This is the guy you should look at, which means Ed Oliver is going to be kind of in your back mind, People aren't really talking about him. Like you said, he had a lot of hype in the beginning. He's a guy that you're going to look at. A big letdown for me in this position, Brian Burns. Huge letdown for me.
Yeah, well, a big part of that for him, unfortunately, was he had a hand injury and hand surgery, like, what was it, week 4 or 5? So right in the middle of the season, he missed a game, I'm pretty sure. His playing time went super low. He went from playing over 50% of snaps the first few games to, I think it was like under 30. And then they pretty much just babied him the rest of the way. He ended up with a couple of sacks towards the end of the season. But his playing time just went down post-surgery. They kind of knew their season was a wash. That's why you started to see Bruce Irvin kind of come on, getting a few sacks here and there, Mario Addison. These guys they kind of just stayed on the field a lot and pulled in a lot of those sack numbers and that production. But I think Brian Burns, he was a little disappointing considering he was drafted pretty high, and early on the season it looked like he was going to be a good asset, but I think he's a buy right now because, again, kind of like with Max Crosby, I don't think he's gonna go down in value. I think he's just gonna go up. So I'm looking to buy him, especially with a new coach and just things are just shaking out different. He'll be healthy next year. You have to think that Bruce Irvin, who's 32, 33, 34, he's probably not going to be there. So the path to success for Brian Burns is still fairly well laid out for him, in my opinion. But not what you wanted necessarily or were hoping for, but still not bad for a rookie. I mean, 7 sacks, you probably only played him as a spot start here and there anyway. So,
all right. So I'm going to ask you, each one of you, who's your rookie of the year?
Didn't we do this the other day?
We talked about it.
I said it was Max Crosby, and I'm going to stick with that. I mean, he was just cheap, and he put up big boy numbers. I mean, he put up big boy numbers off the discount rack. I'm going to take it. That's a layup for me.
Steve?
Yeah, Max Crosby. Although
I think bang for your buck, he cost you nothing. Max Crosby, and I even tweeted, Nick Bosa's going to get the love. He's the face. He's the pretty boy. He's the Bosa. I think that he's going to end up when awards come out, he's going to edge everybody out. But if you just look at the numbers, Devin Bush beats Nick Bosa too. If you just look at the numbers, more pass defended, more interceptions, more fumble recoveries, touchdown.
Yeah.
He had one sack, but who's more valuable to you as a team, Nick Bosa or Max Crosby? When you really who you paid for, and it's Max Crosby, more sacks, same
And
amount of time.
they had no edge, they had no pass rush, the
Yeah.
the Raiders. So Max Crosby was an instant shot in the arm, whereas the 49ers, maybe while it wasn't as illustrious as it is
They
this
have
year,
studs all the way across the line.
they had
Everywhere.
high draft capital guys front and back all over that
That's
team.
why I was a little surprised they went and got Nick Bosa.
Yeah, because they had already acquired Ford in the offseason at that point too.
That's why I was a little surprised. Because they've got Eric Armstead, they've got D Ford, they've got, one of your favorite players in Forrest
Yeah,
Buckner.
but I mean, look what's going on there. Everybody's rushing the pass.
It'll be interesting to see what happens in the offseason with
They're
these
all
guys,
balling.
especially if they don't make the Super Bowl.
Oh,
If they lose in the NFC Championship game,
that would be.
who leaves first is the question.
Oh yeah.
Because one of those five, Solomon Thomas is gone, by the way. Let's just put that out there. So, and he was
Yeah.
a number 2 pick 3 years ago.
He was a top 3 pick, and
So
not a lot has come from that, unfortunately. Although I
didn't
heard,
like the draft pick originally. So
they played him. They moved him inside a little bit this year. He had a big play yesterday at one point, but I mean, a big play on the season isn't enough to really.
everybody had a big play. Yes, this weekend.
Yeah,
For
that
San
whole line did.
Francisco. That whole defensive line just bossed. So I don't know. That's pretty much what I got. I think we all agree Max Crosby is our guy. I think he's going to get snubbed, just like President
Oh yeah,
Smith got
he
snubbed.
will get snubbed. It'll be Bosa. I mean, Bosa will get Rookie of the Year, and Jimmy Garoppolo will get Super Bowl MVP, and Niners fans are going to be running through the streets.
I am telling you, watch out. I legit think they could lose to Green Bay. And if it was at without
about a
doubt,
pass
if it was
rush,
at
though.
Lambeau, it'd be over.
We're
I
going to
wouldn't
be watching Zadarius Smith, Nick Bosa, Armstead, Buckner, Preston Smith, Kenny Clark. These guys are going to be running all over the field. This is going to be a fun game whenever this goes down.
I hope Jair Alexander, who was a big guy last year in my group, got injured late at the end of the game yesterday. Hurt his hand or something. Hopefully he's going to be good to go next week because I want to see that. So him and King and Savage, get it. I'm telling you, they're young too. I mean, Savage and King and Jackson and Alexander, all super young, right?
Yeah.
They had a kid, like I talked about earlier in the season, Curtis Bolton, who was going to be a starting linebacker for them, tore his ACL, last game of the preseason. And he was
That's the guy you
balling
did the
out.
interview with, right?
Yeah, huge, great guy, great young man. Really, really surprised. I actually know he's expecting, him and his wife are expecting, or soon to be wife, are expecting a child. So good for them.
Yeah, he should have a role in Green Bay. I mean, Blake Martinez is a free agent coming into the year, and I know a lot of people that are Green Bay fans don't like him. They claim he's
Bro,
not that
I don't
good.
think he's going anywhere.
You gotta wonder.
The players and team love him.
I know, and it's just like when I
I
watch,
don't care
I
what.
don't.
He's still
really
going to top 5 in tackles.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, that's all he does is tackle." I'm like, "Yeah, but look at the teams who don't have a guy that can do that. Like, it's a very valuable thing.
Yeah,
It's his job.
Even if he's not great at other things, like he's a pretty good tackler."
Yep.
he's not super athletic. I get you that, right? He's not Jalen Smith, right?
Yeah.
But
True, he's
Bro.
no Jalen Smith.
he's a leader. That's what you get the other rookies for. The guys that have come in and be, coverage guys
Mhm.
like Bolton, who they're looking at. So who I thought they were going to have in the other guy. Can't think of his name. He was the big name coming out, but can't think of him right now.
Josh Jones or something like that.
It's some long name or Summers.
I don't know. Anyway,
Everybody thought he was going to be better. So, all right. Well, that's pretty much it, guys. Great show. You know how it goes. It flies by with you guys, and I appreciate that.
mhm. Yes, sir. We are.
I'm so jealous. Again, you guys are going with Expand the Box Score to the Senior Bowl, and I can't go. So,
Week from today, IDP 411 will be representing at the Senior Bowl. So hopefully we can scrounge up
just
some
make sure you
sleepers.
drive safe. I know that weather's been crazy. So,
Yeah, just put on cruise control and listen to some podcasts on the way down there. Should fly by.
Yep.
hell yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think that's it for us. Until next week.
Yeah,
Let's go.